This is Words Lightly Spoken, a podcast of poetry from Ireland. In this episode, Sophie Meehan is inspired by a visual artist.
I'm going to read a poem called Killing Time in Francis Bacon's Studio. So for anybody listening that might not be aware of what the title refers to, the painter Francis Bacon, his studio was in London, but it's actually on display in Dublin in the Hugh Lane Gallery. So in 1998, after he died, one of his heirs donated it to the Hugh Lane in Dublin, and a team of conservators led by Mary McGrath went over to London and they painstakingly broke down every single inch of it. So if you've ever seen a picture of it, like, it's the most glorious artist mess you could possibly imagine. Like, it's all of his ephemera, all of it, the stuff that he used as reference, things torn out of magazines and newspapers covering the floor from different decades, and all of his paint splodges on the doors and the ceiling and everything. So they broke it all down and they mapped out every inch of it and they reassembled it completely. So it's now in the Hugh Lane and you can walk in and it's behind glass and it's just really deadly, and I really like spending time there. Yeah, so I hope the poem will kind of speak for itself mostly, but it's basically about that idea of, like, me as a young girl who was an artist and a writer but didn't really have the confidence yet to, like, be fully an artist, and spending time in this space that represents, like, what a proper artist is, kind of like even your mess is artistically significant, and looking up to these very, like, male British canonical artists who would be photographed in black and white, and, like, me thinking that that was the idea of what a real artist was. Killing Time in Francis Bacon's Studio. Pink splodges on doors, having nowhere to go. A chaos held stationary, like me looking at it. Francis Bacon let me stay as long as I wanted. Small and internetless, disconnected in the best way. My childhood, though it didn't feel like a childhood at that time, I now know it was ongoing, and to become an adult was to experience a falling off of optimism, that the mould was being controlled by a lack of oxygen, and upon the unexpected cracking of a window it would multiply and mutate, becoming suddenly deadly. Was spent in free spaces, galleries, libraries, parks. Francis Bacon's studio was my living room, so I became my male half. The idea of a smoking jacket and a Latin grammar book. A cross-country runner in singlet and shorts, posing glumly in monochrome on a school wall. Not so much not like other girls, as not like the other girls who are not like other girls. Important men in black and white, with received pronunciation, approving of me only. Francis Bacon let me stay as long as I wanted. To be an artist was to have your mess preserved, and like him I felt at home here in the chaos. I could write the best poems in Francis Bacon's studio, if only I could make it through the glass.
That was Sophie Meehan with her poem Killing Time in Francis Bacon's Studio. Sophie is currently working on her debut collection. You can listen to the Words Lightly Spoken podcast on the Poetry Ireland website, poetryireland.ie, or on the Words Lightly Spoken Facebook page. Follow us on Twitter @LightlyWords, or subscribe on your usual podcast platform so that you don't miss an episode. You'll also find a selection of episodes on the Museum of Literature Ireland's Radio Molly. Words Lightly Spoken is funded by the Arts Council of Ireland and is a Rockfinch production.